Welcome back to another dose of rail action. With me under a lot of stress and waiting for the status of my new career, moving out of my house, drama with some close friends, and issues with the community, I decided for the next 3 days that I would get out of the house and enjoy my own solo missions, enjoying what I know best, the railroad and nature itself. We start on this lovely Friday at milepost 39.4 on the Norfolk Southern Washington District, with the cold front swooping in with reports of funnel clouds appearing from previous locations within the front that we are looking at now to the west of us. I doubled, tripled, and quadruple checked the Doppler radar every hour to verify that I was in the clear, in which I was. I woke up around 3:30 in the afternoon, and with my poor planning I missed Amtrak 13, NS 203, and Amtrak 50. With that being said, my first train of the day was NS 228 at around 6:30 p.m., a double-stack intermodal traveling southbound to Norfolk, Virginia, with the AC-44 C6M conversion unit leading and an SD-70 ACU or former SD-90 trailing, with the good-sized intermodal as we head southbound. What threw me off about NS 228 is the last 10 cars with the EMP containers. Usually I see those containers on the priority intermodals and not the Norfolk bound ones or the Harrisburg bound
Norfolk
ones.
Southern, milepost 39.4, no defects. Milepost 39.4, no defects.
With Norfolk Southern 228 gone, I received a report of a northbound meeting the 228 at Calverton, so I decided to wait at Nokesville. Turns out somebody was just joking around and wasted 90 minutes of my time, so now that I missed my favorite VRE at South Manassas, I guess I had to settle for Amtrak 19 being my second and last train of the day. However, my spirits were lifted after hearing a goddess whisper my name from its lead unit on tonight's Amtrak southbound Crescent, bound for the city of New Orleans. And was surprised again with Amtrak 19 being led by a Genesis P40DC number 816, which is one I haven't seen in ages.
Norfolk Southern, milepost 39.4, no defects. Norfolk Southern, milepost 39.4, no defects.
The Amtrak Genesis P40DCs aren't that easy to find service these days, especially considering the user service they've been through since the dawn of the Genesis engines. The P40s were mainly sold to the Connecticut Department of Transportation, New Jersey Transit, and the New York Metropolitan Transit Authority, which have been converted into P32 ACDMs. Other than that, the only place to see real P40DCs are on Amtrak's auto trains or in the yard. I moved a few miles north to Manassas Regional Airport to see what I can see, in case anything was coming. Sure enough, that storm that was developing to my west was now developing even more to my south. With everything going on in my life right now, this was a wonderful opportunity to experience with my hobby and nature at once, especially on a day like today. One day apparently wasn't good enough, so I decided to come out to Brunswick on Sunday. With just minutes to spare as Amtrak PO29, the westbound Capital Limited, makes yet another appearance at North WB. This has always been my favorite shot, with a nice all-in-one image with North WB and Maple Island signals illuminated in the background, the old switch tower of WB, and of course the train coming right at you, with the cheerful engineer blasting through the town for everyone who is out enjoying this perfect day to hear. And there she goes, the midget-sized Capital Limited, heading westbound into the invisible sunset. The reason why I call it the invisible sunset, because I had a question last time on why I said that, is because it's a cloudy day, so there's no sun. Plus, the summer solstice is kicking in, and the sunset doesn't fully commence until around 8:30 at night. Nothing left Cumberland around the time that Amtrak passed, so it was dead for a good 2 hours, and I went out to Roy Rogers for lunch when finally CSX Q138 arrives at Brunswick, dropping off the double stacks for CSX Q136 to pick up later. Tonight's CSX Q138 has 3 auto racks that are bound for Jessup. This to me is very unusual because I've never seen intermodal and auto racks mixed together on CSX trains up in this section. The pandemic really has trains all over the place. And the SD40-2 that was just trailing behind Q138 today. Now that was a good catch.
Man, I cannot believe that we paid $31.94, $9.11, $7.76. I don't understand that. 3,000 series. 2005. Look at it. Yes, 44. Sorry. What was that? What was that? It looked like it blurred it out. Wait, did he step for your I'm going to the other side. He's not there yet.
While CSX-Q138 was pulling up even more to drop out the double stacks on the 3-runner, CSX-Q372 snuck up on us on track number 2 heading eastbound as well, racing the Q138. Well, not really racing, more like just trying to respectfully beat him, as I would say. With yet another GEVO contest and another SD40-2 that was trailing. Q372 tonight had more auto racks bound for Jessup, as well as Philadelphia, where this train will be terminating as well, and has some other interesting contests as well aboard today's Q372. for a 624 axle manifest as CSX Q372 continues eastbound through Brunswick, going to make its next stop in Baltimore and then proceed through Philadelphia. As CSX Q138 finally came to a halt, we walked up to where the conductor was to watch him disconnect the double stacks as well as retrieve and reset the EOT for its new consist, which is shorter because he's dropping off the double stacks.
Clear of all tracks, release my 3-step, 4 head 1 car.
Head 1. CSX Equipment Defect Detector, milepost 7.2.1. Track 2. No defect. No defect. Total axle 624 in transmission.
You'll hear the term 3-step protection a lot in movements like this. 3-step protection is a term used for the engineer to lock up the train so that no unusual movements may occur while the conductor works on and around the consist. When the conductor requests a 3-step protection, the engineer will comply and will also apply the independent and train brake to full service. He will also set the reverser to neutral and turn off the fuel generator of the locomotive. The engineer will tell the conductor that 3-step has been applied, and that gives the conductor the okay to do his work with the consist. When the conductor is finished, he will tell the engineer to release the 3-step protection, and the engineer will prepare the train for movement or other instructions followed by the conductor or his bulletins. The conductor is now hooking up a portable air hose to the double stacks, so that way the air hoses on the double stacks can remain pressurized while they're waiting for Q136 to pick them up later. This eliminates the process of charging the air hoses yet again, and for additional brake tests to ensure everything's connected properly. The conductor is now setting up the EOT, or the end of train device, to the last car of the consist. The first thing to do is secure the device next to his designated screw next to the coupler, and then we'll press a test button on the other side, as well as release the air valve at the end of the train, and then we'll press a test button again, which will turn on the EOT and have it flash. And will give the rear brake pipe pressure reading, and will give the status of the device itself. The conductor will relay the pressure reading and ask the engineer who has the control of the HOT to make sure it is connected to the HOT. If so, the test is successful and they can continue on. This is the end of train device reading. The bottom number is the rear brake pipe pressure reading, and the top is the status of the device, including the battery voltage, reception, device number, and what I believe is movement identification.
Does 1 clear on the rear line back to the door. 5 car, 30 cars, right?
And with a mighty yank, CSX Q136 is on the move yet again. He will proceed to East Brunswick and stop so he could pick up his conductor and continue on down to Baltimore's Penn Mary Yard. Right behind him apparently was CSX Q136, who right now is holding it at car yards and is waiting for Q138 to move out of the way. He will get clearance to move in, switch to the yard channel, and then proceed to do his yard work to pick up the double stacks, which are now waiting on 3-runner, so that Q136 can pull up to the end of North WB and reverse back to hook up to Q136 and proceed down to Portsmouth as well.
20 cars, 2001. 51 loads, no empties. Tonnage of 5560, length of 8296, over.
Correct.
Any kind of restrictions on the train, over?
No, none.
Q13823, OK east, signal indication there at East Brunswick, crossing over to 2, over.
Copy, thanks.
CSXPC dispatcher, check spills out. Talk to the yard, over.
Said already talked to the yard. He gave us permission to grab it once they clear it up, and we'll talk to you when we're back on the head. They're ready to go east.
thank you. CSX BC dispatcher, Jacksonville Zone.
136 up.
And with that being said, CSX Q138 has permission to go past East Brunswick with a limited clear going from 1 to 2, and now CSX Q136, who's right up his tail, has the clear to enter Brunswick and then reverse within the block to grab its constants that you see here, and then continue down south to Portsmouth, Virginia.
If you can make a quick move here for me, I'm going to take you out too. I got Q137 coming into East Brock to ask you to go through that crossover. 7224 is going to the location south towards 2 East Brock.
So wait. Oh my god. That was evil. I wasn't even recording. Oh my god. No, it was, but I accidentally just hit the thing. It wasn't even recording when it first came by. Oh, I wasn't even sure, but I mean, it wasn't really anything special. Alright, so will 137 be on the other side?
Most likely, yeah.
I'm gonna go over and get that. East Rocks as it can get, so for my scanner. Ow! You get the camera out of my face!
Yeah, you're okay to go and do all your work. You guys should be the only ones down there.
Hey, Ray.
Hey, Burp.
876, I believe. The ocean had to be. Yeah, that's how much
Stay by.
How long is 236? How long is 236? I don't know. It's slowing down right quickly.
Yeah, just drop the conductor off the switch. You are correct, Isaiah.
Burning or something.
This
It's
is
just burning
CSX
and then it just stops.
Q136. Right now they're going to be dropping off their conductor, picking up the paperwork from the Brunswick Yard office. And then eventually they're going to grab these double stacks right here.
Dude, that's rare.
At first, I didn't understand why CSX Q136 was coming to a complete stop earlier than he usually would be, especially if he's going all the way to the end of the block and then reversing. Then I realized the conductor is at the end of the train right now of the current CSX Q136, going over to the isolated double stacks, putting the EOT on those double stacks, and then we'll proceed again to the switch and then back Q136 up, so that way it doesn't have to carry the EOT around. Pretty smart, I would say.
No, it basically, you can't, you don't put it on for a while because it'll start going dim when it's on for a long period, so. They're not really smooth with their cars now, are they? I'd say not. Hold on. On the rocks, I think they said you look good.
Put that on air. Put it on air. Alright.
There's something about auto wrap.
Oh, I heard of that too.
I know just how.
I don't know. What was that auto wrap? Oh, maybe not.
long car. Something was definitely shorted. 138 went up to the light. Oh, there's 137. Four? What company?
E782.
Ah, so... Oh, wait, yeah, that's right, because you said he... Oh, that's the guy.
And now CSX Q136 consist will now back up into the consist that's waiting to be picked up on 3-runner, while apparently we're waiting for CSX Q137. Number 1, Q137 doesn't come around this time, so he's very early. And number 2, there may be something behind him. Let's find out. But first, let's watch Q136 with the conductor backing him up all the way to 3-runner.
78, give me 15 more, 15. 878. Five,
Is that how long it's going to take for them to get the air going and get that pump trade out?
That's
263 for 137? He's usually short.
Patrick is not running that house fire. They're being transferred to the city.
protection, CSX locomotive 878.
3-step.
Alright, roger.
As soon as my camera stopped recording, I turned around and didn't blink twice because here comes CSX Q137 with its headlights coming up around South WB. And apparently he's got some auto racks on him today. A little unusual for especially Q137.
Mark actually blocked.
137 had more auto racks than he did for intermodal. Never seen that before.
CSX BC dispatch for Jacksonville, answer, over.
13624 BC.
3624, go ahead, over.
Hey, got our pickup, and we are ready to go. Over. You need some numbers, over.
Yes, please. You get them put into your PTC yet, over?
Done, over.
All right, showing you with 37 loads, 2 empties, 6,775 tons, 7,693 feet, over.
The updated info, over.
All right, and you got the conductor on the head end, over?
Just up, over.
All right, let me get this crossover in front of you lined up normal, then I get you that signal going east, over. All right, CSX BC dispatch for Jacksonville's out.
So there's going to be
That's just anything. So wait, what? I'm so hey, that was bamboo flooring. Oh, he's fucked. Wait. Down the head. Like, seriously, how does he do that? How does that
And with CSX Q136 out of the way, that completes my stress-relieving weekend at South Manassas, Nokesville, and Brunswick. I want to give a good shout out to Western Maryland guy and Just Train Sanity, who was with me at Brunswick as we were enjoying a nice, beautiful evening. And I gotta say, I feel much better now. Until next time, this is Change Productions. Thanks for tuning in.